most of the entertainment form are short form TikToks, 1 minute, 30 seconds. They don't want to waste time. So social media psychologically program us not to be patient, right? Because you look at a video, you are not seeing the punchline instantly, you're scrolling up. There are some people that can spend 2 to 3 hours with their phone on TikTok in the restroom just scrolling, and they won't be conscious of the fact that 2 hours has elapsed.
Wait, you said social media is one of the factor
that has programmed us to be impatient.
Yeah. Wow. Because 1 minute video, 30 seconds video, 45 seconds video
instantly. You don't have time
and
for.
And you hear people saying that don't let it be too long. Go short videos. So
because
automatically
our attention span is reducing by the day. Thank you very much for having me on this episode.
Bro, I appreciate.
It's nice to be here.
Sincerely. I just put one call through to Tobore, and Tobore said, I'm going to be here.
Yeah, live and direct.
I'm going to be here. And trust me, easier today. So how's it been?
Well, it has been a very eventful journey, right? It's been very crazy. It has its ups and downs. It has its highlights and its low time also. But in all, we give thanks and we're still on the journey.
Wow. That is good. It says you are a visual artist.
Yes.
So who is a visual artist?
Well, a visual artist, it's someone, like the name simplifies, it's an artist that does visuals, right? So your medium you use might vary. It might be photography, it might be painting, it might be graphics, anything that encompasses visual as a whole. That's what a visual artist is.
Wow. How has it been? How has the industry been?
So to say it in a nutshell, I would say the industry has been very interesting. It has been interesting because there are times whereby you're passionate and you're running with so much energy, and there are times whereby you're faced with challenges and you begin to doubt if you choose the right path. So it has been very interesting.
So what has been the driving force for you in this industry, in between the ups and downs that you have been going through and how we are seeing? What is the drive? What is really driving you? What is that thing that keeps you going?
Well, for me, I think sharing my story or sharing the story from where I'm from has been one of my driving force, right? As a kid growing up in Delta State, Warri, there are a lot of stories, there are a lot of dreams that died there. There are a lot of stories that couldn't get out into the world. So my ability to now push that out there into the world and into the large space at large, I think that's been my driving force. The ability to tell my story and leave an impact for eternity. That's my driving force.
Wow. So you are from Warri?
Yes.
Delta.
Robo by tribe.
Wow. Robo Wayo.
No, Wado.
No, I don't come from you. Yeah, on Nigeria Delta. Me na no verse.
Apologies accepted. You've done the needful. Apologies accepted.
Wow. Okay, if you say Robo Wado, you say
Yes.
In our own language, Ishan. So when you say Iwoke-san, oh yeah, you say oh yeah. So all of them go
it's a call and response thing.
Yes.
From history, the Robos were kind of like they migrated from the Benin Kingdom, so they have similarities in language.
So na we born na.
Moto
na papa and mama.
Benin are the papa and mama. So Robo will be like their sons.
So for how long you've been in this creative industry?
Okay, officially I started in 2017 when I came to Lagos to learn film and TV production at the MX Multimedia Studio. I think that was where the journey actually started. But before then, I've always been drawing and scribbling on my notes, and I always knew I had something for the visuals.
So in your journey so far, was there ever a moment you wanted to give up?
There are moments. There are times where, the creative industry, it's a seasonal industry, to put it that, because there are times whereby jobs are coming frequently. There are times whereby jobs are trickling down, like you get them once in a while. So there are days whereby you begin to doubt your chosen path. Where are you sure this is the path you want to go to? And the creative work is also work that is undervalued. that is underpaid, and people do not really give much thought to it. Like, let's take for example a graphic designer, right? You design graphics. There are some people that would come up to you that would list a certain things that they need, and then you give them a budget, and then they ask you for just graphics. Right? Forgetting that you put time, you put creativity, and you put in energy into making sure that that thing comes out as they want it to. So a lot of people, they look down on that job. They just think that, is it not just graphics? Or is it not just photography that you are charging XYZ amount for, right? So there are times whereby there's been a lot of times whereby I doubted if this was the choosing path for me, but then I think the commitment to putting my story out there has always been a driving force for me.
There are always hard time.
There's no choosing path that does not come with challenges. I think one thing is that whichever path you choose, nature will definitely put obstacles on that path to make sure they test you if you are sure this is the path you want to take, right? So that obstacle now is like a test of your conviction if you are sure that this is the path you want to go on with for life. So they are just tests. As you overcome them, you go to a new level, and each new level demands a new you. There's definitely going to be tests on all levels. In fact, the higher you go, the harder the tests are. As humans, we are used to comfort.
Yes.
And growth does not happen in comfort. And so that stepping out of the comfort zone, be like, what? You just want to be there because you don't know what's happening outside your comfort zone, and people fear what they don't understand. It's new to you. You don't understand it. And so that fear is what will keep you in your comfort zone and will keep you from growing.
That is true. That is true. Can you share a little bit of your story?
So I'll start my story from my university days. I was in 300 level, second semester. I just got back from IT, and then I was just sitting in my room and I was thinking, is this the life? Like, you go to school, get a certificate, come out, find one job and start working and paying your salary. There's more to life than this. And so that day I just decided I was going to drop out of school and come to Lagos and learn filmmaking. And that's how it happens. So I dropped out of school in 2014. You understand now? Dropping out of school is not an easy thing for for family. Your family starts saying, they bewitched this one, or you want to spoil your life, or you want to be a wayward son, all things like that. But then I had a vision in mind, right? I know where I was going to. And so I faced those challenges. And then in 2017, I came to Lagos to study film and TV production. And I think that was the beginning of my journey as a visual artist.
So far, so good. I know there has been challenges. So are there some unforgettable challenges that you went through that actually builds your confidence and builds your strength that you are still using at this point to move on, to proceed in life?
To pick one out of the many stories, I would say one story that happened. So I was interning at a studio somewhere on the island, and it was not paying, right? And so I decided to quit the job and then go stay with a friend that was also living on the same street as the studio, and maybe from there pick up myself. And then the owner of the studio said, so long as I'm no longer working with him, he does not want to see me on that same street and does not want to see me on the island.
Wow.
And because he has a certain level of authority on that estate, he was able to call the landlord of that friend I was staying with and said a lot of things, that I was a criminal, that I do drugs and all that. And at about, I can remember vividly, I think about 14 minutes past 12 on that day, I was kicked out on the street of Lagos with nothing but 500 naira in my hand. I had nowhere to go and nowhere to sleep that night. And I said to myself while I was walking on the street that night that I must make out for this creative industry, right? I have no choice than to get it right.
Like, you were kicked out
on the streets past
in the middle of the night
with nowhere to go and no one to reach out to. Even if I had funds, maybe I could go to some other friends' places, but as at that time, there was no way to navigate that journey, right? But then I think that was when it dawned on me that you have no choice than to get it right. There's no excuse for failure. You just have to get it right. You just have to get it right. So that was a very pivotal point for me in my life in terms of working in this industry.
That was a crazy one.
Crazier things have happened in Lagos.
I could just imagine, at that time, at that hours, I could just imagine what will be going through your head.
Well, a lot of things was going through my head. One was, why didn't you just stay in your father's house in Warri and be working, or why didn't you just get a monthly salary work and be doing and collecting your small chicken and just be there, right? Doubts were coming in, a lot of negative talks were coming in, but then you have to keep focused if you need to make progress in anything you do, right? You have to silence the distraction and just focus on your mind that, okay, this is what I want and I'm going with everything I have in me to make sure that I get it.
It's like our youth. It's like everybody's looking for fast money.
Yes.
Popularly known as shortcuts.
Because that's what it's pushed out there. That's what is celebrated in the society today, right? People no longer have dignity in labor. They just want it now and they want it fast, right? So people don't have the time to dedicate themselves to learning handwork or giving themselves to a craft and putting their all. They just want to wake up one morning and see 100 million in their accounts. And life does not happen like that. Anything that lasts, it takes time to build. It does not happen overnight. So you have to be willing to stay committed to your goal. You have to be willing to invest your all blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that that thing comes into fruition. Like, let me give you a story. I had a friend when I was at the film school.
Yeah.
His idea of photography was to get girls, right?
To get girls.
Yes. He had the idea that as a photographer, girls would be flocking you. Okay. So that was the idea that made him get into photography. And at the end of the day, when he was not seeing the girls, he sold his equipment.
What?
You understand? So different things.
Wait, like now I'm in this industry. So the idea as much as I'm here,
a photographer, was that fine beautiful ladies would be flocking to him for taking his pictures, for doing pictures for them. But then when he got into the industry and he was not seeing that, he sold his equipment, right? So depend on what brought you into the industry.
So what have been your personal struggles? How has it been able to shape your life?
There was a certain time I wanted to do an exhibition. I went to about 3 galleries and they say they only exhibit paintings. They don't exhibit photo art. So if we can have more people who are invested in things like that, I think it would really level the playing field for creatives. So that's been a struggle. Yeah, the social media has opened the space for us as creatives, because right now you can post a picture on Twitter and someone from Norway or someone from Iceland can reach out to you and want to buy the original rights and all that. So social media it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Social media has been really helpful in that aspect.
Let's talk about finance now.
Finance.
What are the pressures?
Very big one.
Ever made the financial pressure? Has it ever made you question your craft?
Times with that number. Because there are some times whereby as a creative, you've invested a lot of your money in creating a project and you have not gotten returns, and then you're broke and there's bills to be paid. And then you now begin to ask yourself, is it not better to just go and do office work while I'll be collecting my monthly? You understand? But then it's not something that you're passionate. But then sometimes you can do those 9 to 5 to fund the passion, right? If you can find a balance.
If no one ever saw your work again, would you still create more?
Yes, because the excitement that comes from the process of creating, it's way more than the spectators, right? So the joy is in the creative process, not in the final work per se. So whether or not it's seen by anybody, or it doesn't really matters. But then when it's seen and reshared, it's also come with its own excitement also, right?
Yeah.
But then the creative process, it's what really is exciting.
So what story do you think only you can tell?
The story of my life.
Yes, that it's only you that can tell the
Yeah,
story.
that's the story of my life now. Because things that my eyes have seen, if I it would be, how did they say it in literature? It would be a combination of different genres of story. It would be action, thriller, tragic comedy. It will be everything encompassed together, because my eyes have seen a lot. In fact, it's a testimony that we're alive today.
So that means, you must have been tested with some other parts of making money.
Ooh, I've tried different parts of making money aside this creative industry. I've tried forex, my high is C99. I've tried sport betting. Sporting.
Wow.
It almost took my bosses from my waist.
You mean betting?
Sport betting. Run. It almost took my bosses from my waist. All this place, they went inside. But then I was lucky to be able to come out.
But people still,
Alhamdulillah for them.
Let's talk about this generation. Which role do you think some of our celebrities are playing in adding value to this generation?
Well, we're in a generation whereby social media is the new medium of influencing and shaping cultures, right? So I think a lot of our celebrities, they are misleading, right? In terms of the lifestyle they put out there, they make it seem like it's all glitz and glamour, right? They position themselves in a way whereby people who watch them tend to forget that these people are humans too. And so they kind of like create a mental image and put them high up there on the pedestal. But then we're all humans who make mistakes. Sometimes we'll fall short of who we are. So I think it would be good if celebrity, they show more of their human side. Being a celebrity and an influencer, it's a very powerful position, right? Because you hold a lot of destinies in your hand. You hold the ability to direct and change the course of a lot of life, right? There are some people today now that if they come out with a stick of cigarettes and said, this is the best thing for your life, over hundreds of thousands of youths would start smoking cigarettes the next day. Because they've idolized these people to the point whereby they think their life is the best template to live their own lives. Right, so they kind of like model their life after this celebrity, and in their eyes, nothing these people do can ever be wrong. You understand? So I think it's a very powerful position to hold, and with more power comes more responsibility. So I think it's high time we demand them to be more responsible.
But looking at this generation and looking at the generation to come, what are you seeing?
Well,
in terms of how the world is going right now?
I think the next generation would be way advanced. So whatever it is we are seeing now in terms of positive and negative, it will be more advanced than this. Right? Whatever vices is happening now, it's nothing compared to what's coming. Whatever advancement in technology is nothing compared to what's coming. So it's 50-50. Right, it can either pivot to a positive side or to a negative side. So, but we're hopeful for a bright future, actually. So that's why it's best to, in whatever capacity you can, make sure that you leave a positive impact on the universe before you leave, because that's the only way you are sure that some of that energy can be carried off to the next generation, instead of just leaving it to chance or leaving it to quote our celebrities. We are all celebrities and influencers in our own little sphere.
Exactly.
Right? In as much as we are here today, there are people who look up to us.
Exactly.
Right? So what role model are we being to those people?
Exactly.
Right? So in our own little way, it's best that we leave a little level of positivity out there.
Wherever you are, whatever you do, it must be a consciousness of impact,
Yes.
a consciousness of value adding,
Yes.
because that is what will outlast you.
Because the truth is that we are all changing the world as we go about our ways. So, in what way do you want to change the world? Is it in a
Exactly.
positive light or in a negative light? Your 2 minutes interaction with someone can leave a lifelong impact on that person. What impact would you like to leave on that person? Is it something that would be positive, because that person in itself would go and make an impact on someone else's life, right? So if you leave a negative impact on that person, automatically he bets that same thing out there. But if you leave a positive impact, he'll go out there and bet it out there also too. So because in this generation, people are more concerned with the short-term effect than the long-term effect, right? They just want it now and they want it fast. They don't care what happens in the next 2 years. They don't care what happens in the next 20 years. They are not that thinking into the future like that, right? But then I think previous generation, they were more concerned that, 20 years from now, how would this thing impact the world? How would this thing change the world? How would this, you understand? But now we just want it fast. In fact, our attention span is diminishing by the day. People no longer have patience. They just want it now and they want it fast, right? If you tell a child of this generation to plant a tree, say a tree that would take 10 years to bear fruit. But most of the fruits you eat now were planted by people 10 years ago, right? If they hadn't made that sacrifice, you wouldn't be enjoying the benefit of those things. So I think patience is something that should be taught more, right? And building for future, not just instant gratification, just
Short time.
enjoy it now and be done with it. Yeah. So we should be more future inclined.
So wait, this short time thing, this shortcut thing, where is it coming from?
Most of the entertainment form are short form. TikToks, 1 minute, 30 seconds. They don't want to waste time.
So social media taught us,
Psychologically program us not to be patient, right? Because you look at a video, you are not seeing the punchline instantly, you're scrolling up. There are some people that can spend 2 to 3 hours with their phone on TikTok in the restroom just scrolling, and they won't be conscious of the fact that 2 hours has elapsed.
wait, you said social media
Yeah,
is one of the factor
that has programmed us to be
that has
impatient.
programmed us to be impatient.
Yeah.
Wow. Because 1 minute video, 30 seconds video,
You
45
just
seconds
want it
video,
instantly. You don't have time
and
for.
you hear people saying that don't let it be too long, go short
Yes.
videos. So
Because our
automatically
attention span is reducing by the day.
the face of the society is changing by the day.
Exactly.
We are seeing different things from different people, from different places.
We're in a very innovative age, and this
tell you.
age of AI now is it's speeding the rate of development. And so if you are not stable, if you are not up to date, you'll be left behind. Like we are on a very fast lane.
Very fast lane.
If you're very fast lane, traffic is just going with you. And if you just bar break for a few minutes,
Another person don't overtake
you are lost. You are lost. No, social media is not evil. Social media is a tool, right? It's like saying the axe now, it's evil. But it's not, because it's a tool, right? The farmer goes into the farm, use the axe to cut down a tree, right? And tear the trees into firewood and sell, right? It has created value. The Omo boy goes into the street with an axe and injures his fellow man, or use it to threaten someone and collect the phone. It does not change the fact that the axe is the axe. It's the intention for which you use it that determines the value.
I love this analogy.
You understand?
Yeah.
So social media in itself is not a bad thing. How are you using social media? That's what you need to be asking. That's the question.
And I want to ask this question. Why is it that it is stupid, in quotes, stupid and nonsensical content that used to generate more views,
Because we live in a society that celebrates stupidity. Exactly. If you set up this camera now and you want to teach people how to make money using their Facebook, let's say 1,000 people will watch. But if a girl comes here now, skimpily dressed, and start twerking, she will get 100,000 views.
Why?
It's because people are looking for what would nourish their cravings rather than what would rather than what will enrich their soul, right? Things that would make an impact for you, that you would be someone of value out there, they don't really appreciate it that much. It's just something that they will just and just satisfy themselves. And I think those are the things that they crave for. And so it's the society that we live in. You can't blame them. A young boy creates maybe a computer that can calculate with the speed of light. It won't be as celebrated as a young girl that is twerking to this trending song. You might not even see the news of that young boy that graduated with a 5.0 GPA. Is the one that is asking for a Lambo from their favorite celebrity that will be the talk of the day. So I think it's a crazy time that we live in, that people celebrate stupid things more than they do things of value. That's why someone said something. They said the richest place in the world is the cemetery. Say because a lot of people die with potentials that were not fulfilled. Fear,
True.
the limitations, not being able to tap fully into it. So a lot of reasons why people don't live up to their full potentials.
That is Tobore for you.
Nice to have
Tobore Ogbana. All the way. Good to have you, bro. Thanks
It's good
for
to be
coming
here at
through.
CTW. Thank you guys for having me. It's been
Yes,
a
sir.
wonderful experience so far.
Yes, so I appreciate, bro. I appreciate.